Good morning, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So lots of great stuff to talk about today, as always, but I'm going to start with the stats. And these are from August 7th to the 13th is the week that we're talking about here. And there were 413 single-family homes that were sold that week. It was 407 the week before. The median price of a single-family home is at $435. I believe it was around $425 last week, somewhere around there. Basically, the inventory increased by 94 and now is sitting at about 5,909 to be exact. Of the 413, 33 of them sold under 250,000, another 33 between 250 and 300, 107 between 300 and 400, 88 between 400 and 500, 133 between 500 and a million, and 19 over a million. The months of inventory is looking at 3.3 overall. Under 250, we've got 2.17 months, 2.21 between 250 and 300, 2.4 between 300 and 400, and then between 400 and 500, we go up to 3.34, which is kind of at our median. Then 500 to a million, 3.82, and over a million, we're at 8.41. Now, the list to ask price is the next thing that we look at, and overall, it was at 97.71. Under 250, it was at 95.07, which those usually need work, so that's usually the case there. 250 to 300 was 98.02. Then we went to 99.02 between 300 and 400, 99.05 between 400 and 500, 98.09 between 500 and a million, and 94.24 over a million. So basically, it looks like those ones, it's just a little bit, but 250 to 300 also have a little bit of a lower price point list to ask price that you can do a little bit more on that. Average days to contract right now is at 58 overall. And so that's what's going on there. When you're looking at condos, townhomes, and villas, there were 122 that sold last week. The median price for them is $261,475. And that inventory also increased by 33 and now at 2843. So when we're talking about that and how that shakes down, of the 122, 57 of them were under 250, 12 were between 250 and 300, 29 between 300 and 400, 15 between 400 and 500, 7 between 500 and a million, and there was one of them over a million that sold. So when you're looking at the inventory there, we're at 5.57 overall. So there's quite a bit more inventory there, so it might give you a little bit more negotiating, but it's still coming in 97.26 overall, so not too bad. So basically under 250, there's 4 months of inventory. There's 8 months of inventory, 8.56 between 250 and 300, between 300 and 400, 5.89, 500 to 400, 6.29, 9 months between 500 and a million, and 4.38 over a million. Now, last week there weren't any over a million that sold. There's only 19 on the market, but that just shows you kind of how the numbers can kind of get skewed a little bit. They're also at 60 days to contract, and like I said, 97.26 overall list to ask price ratio. So you might say, hey, why do we really look at these things? And like I talk about a lot of times that, real estate is extremely local. So even when I'm talking about these numbers here, what's going on in your particular neighborhood, subdivision, or whatever may not be exactly the same thing in regards to what it really you're thinking that it should be, and all of that kind of good stuff. But basically, the bottom line is that what we like to do is we like to look at what's happening here, what's going on. And so we have an idea to look at the trends. And we're looking at only a week at a time. I mean, we do talk about the monthly stats when they come out and that kind of thing, which gives us a little bit better feel. But it just kind of gives us an idea, right away what's going on in the market. And our market has been extremely stable for the last 3 years. Ever since the interest rates increased, they have definitely stayed pretty consistent. And so, our list to ask price ratio has been pretty consistent. The average price or the median price has been pretty consistent. And the thing that I like about doing this every week is when the monthly stats come out, they combine the condos and the houses. And so we're just talking about the houses separate than the condos here. And so that makes a big difference too in what you're really looking at. But if you are looking to sell in your particular house, in your particular neighborhood, the study has to be done there. And we do that all the time and would happily do that for you. But if you're just joining us, you're listening to News Radio WFLA Orlando. I'm your host, Laura Peterson, your home sold guaranteed realty. This is Central Florida Real Estate Radio with you every Sunday at 8 a.m. And remember, if you want to reach us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So basically, when you're talking about real estate, like I said, everything is extremely local. And the thing that I have found in this market is basically when you price that property correctly, it goes right away. For example, I did have a house that I just put on the market and sold it in 2 days. And I had another house that I closed recently, last week actually, and that one got sold in 1 day. And basically, then I've got a couple of other houses that the seller didn't want to listen to me, and they wanted to put it on the market quite a bit higher, and they're not getting showings. It's not happening. And basically, I've made the decision that I will no longer put any houses on the market that aren't priced right in this market. Now, a few years ago when the market was going hotcakes and somebody said, hey, I want to try it at a higher price, I'd be like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. But not today in this market, because you're either going to have to, stay with it a lot longer and people are going to wonder what's going on with that house and everything like that. But when you price it properly, it does go for market price. It goes for what you list it for, even a little bit higher. The houses will always come to market value. That's what somebody's going to make an offer on it for. And that's what, you are going to be able to decide if that's something that you want to, pay for it or not. But basically, as a buyer, but, when it comes down to it, we can't, determine what the we can't manage the market, meaning that we can't make it go up or down, but we do operate optimally within it. And that's why it's so important to know what's going on, how you're going to handle it, what you need to do in order to get top dollar for it, what you need to do to make it all happen. And so we definitely do that on a consistent basis to make sure that you're getting exactly what you need when you need it in order to make everything happen. And so, there are situations, where I've got somebody that I'm working with right now that just bought their house 6 months ago, and they're moving out of state and they don't really have any choice in the matter. So unfortunately, that's kind of what the situation is with that, and the market hasn't changed. So we have to sit with that and continue to go with basically what's happening there and, operate optimally within it. So we're trying to figure out, the best way to not have them lose money, but, only owning the property for 6 months with the closing costs and everything like that, it's making it really difficult. But we're going to do our best to make sure that we've got it. But in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So I thought I would talk a little bit about investing in real estate, today and everything. And we do have some programs for investors, quite a few of them, actually. One of the things that we do have for investors is that we do have our cash offer platform, that if you as an investor know exactly the type of properties that you want to buy, we can actually put you in as another person that automatically makes offers on a house when we get people that want to, get a cash offer on your house. And basically, with every seller that we meet with, we go in there with a cash offer, actually, cash offers, not one, but multiple cash offers, on the property. So we're going in with offers when we're going to meet with sellers to show them, to go through the value. Now, it's going to change a little bit because we don't necessarily have the inside pictures. I mean, we're just kind of making guesses on that, but they can be fine-tuned once we've actually seen that property or uploaded it. And if you'd like to get a cash offer on your home, you could just do that right now too. And it's called getcashoffersonyourhome.com is where you would do that. So getcashoffersonyourhome.com is where you want to go if you want to get a cash offer on your property. And if you're an investor, then you just want to call us, or you would want to email us or whatever, and we can get together, go over what you're looking for in a property. And then if somebody requests a cash offer in that area that you're looking to do something on, you can make an automatic cash offer on that property. So pretty cool. But the other things that we have is that we actually have like an investor club, so we're always on the lookout, for properties, for you. And, basically when it comes down to it, we feel like investing in real estate is a really good thing. A couple of reasons why. You can get other people to pay your bills, when you have renters, or if you're using it as an Airbnb and that kind of thing, you can get people to come in and pay that for you, that they're paying down this asset. So you might put a minimal amount down. So say that you are purchasing a home for, let's just say $500,000 or whatever. And as an investor, maybe you're investing, 5% of that. So say you're putting 50,000 of that down, and then you're financing the other 95%. And there are some, depending on what's going on in the economy, like right now, if you're really good, there are some opportunities that you can get that much of a down payment, a low down payment, but most of them you're going to have to put about 20% down, maybe 25% down. But just for easy circumstances, we're going to say you're putting 50 down and you're financing 450. So what happens then is that, if you've got a tenant in there and the rental rates are really good, the tenant is paying that $450,000 mortgage payment for you. So you're building this, you're getting more and more equity in this asset that you put 50,000 down, and then all of a sudden, they paid 50,000 of it off with the mortgage after a couple of years. And then in addition to that, you've got the appreciation. And so the appreciation is, in most circumstances and over time, is going to be where that value of that $500,000 house is going to go to $600,000. And, there's no guarantees necessarily on the appreciation, but from what we've seen and how real estate has reacted and everything over the years, is that there's sometimes little dips and stuff like that, but for the most part, there are the increases and everything that come along. But even if there was a little bit of a dip, if you paid 50,000 down out of your pocket on it, and then somebody else was paying the bills after 10 years, say that you were down to, maybe you've got 150,000 now of equity on that 500,000, and say it even went down 50,000 to 450. You've still got 100,000 that's in equity that you only put 50. So you've doubled your money even when the market went down. So there's lots of great opportunities and everything out there. And that's basically, what my message is today in regards to telling you about the good stuff. But there's different types of ways that you can invest in property and everything too. And so I was talking about the buy and hold is basically what I was talking about. So that would be a residential rental, type of thing. And there are commercial rentals as well, where you could buy a commercial property and then have, either stores or offices or something that are actually renting it at all as well. And there are actually another type of deal out there that's a land lease, and that's that you own the land that a commercial property, builds their building on. So maybe it's a restaurant or maybe it's a drugstore or something like that, but you own the land. So on those properties, you really have absolutely no expenses. You own the land, and then you're getting paid rent for somebody to have that land, but they also pay the taxes, they maintain the properties, all of those kinds of things. So your return on investment isn't necessarily as great as it might be on something else, but they're not bad. They're usually about 6 or 7% that you can get on a land lease. So, and those contracts are usually, 20 years, 75 years, something like that. They're long term because somebody has built that building, for their particular business, and they want to make sure that, it's maintained the way that they want to and all of that kind of good stuff. So it's a great situation for you as the land owner. And so, if there's anything that you want to do along those lines, you can definitely reach out to us and, we can help you with it. And I'm going to go into detail about the flippers, so I'm going to leave that alone for right now and go into the benefits of buying investment property overall. And like I mentioned about passive income, that, especially on those land deals, you don't have any responsibility at all for the most part because they're paying the taxes, they're paying for their building. All they're doing is paying you a return on the investment for you owning the land. So that's always a great thing. So you might have some tax benefits such as deductions and tax breaks. So you want to look at it as a business and treat it as such. And that way you can deduct expenses related to your investment properties such as contractors, materials, and maybe even mortgage interest and that kind of thing. So you have to discuss it with the tax advisor to make sure what local laws apply and how that's going to affect you, obviously. Possible increase in value, which I talked about a little bit already as well. And real estate assets tend to appraise over time, making them a relatively safe long-term investment. So like I said, it's long-term, not necessarily short-term. And it's especially true in inner city neighborhoods where space is at a premium, but it also like that. I was talking to one lady and she was in her 80s and she was just telling with dirt. And so it's like she, owns a lot of rental properties and it's paid her a lot of income over the years and like it. And, as you get older, I mean, there's one train of thought that it's like if you start buying a property every year over, say, 20 or 30 years, so you could do that, let's say 30 years, and let's say that you started when you were in your 20s, so let's say 25. So say 30 years, 25, 35, 45, 55. So when you're 55, you own 30 properties. And so you could just hold on to them, but think 30 properties, and they're all going to be paying themselves off, the mortgages, if they were like 30-year mortgages or whatever. And so they're going to be paying themselves off. And so now you're going to be sitting there with an asset that you own free and clear that you can pay off the next 30, that you can sell one and have enough money to live on, plus the rental income and everything that's coming on. So there's just great opportunities out there. But in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio on News Radio WFLA Orlando. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So basically, when it comes down to it, we're talking about investment property and everything. And, basically it comes down to that we talked about the increase in value and then the financing and everything that's going to be done on it. That's going to be, paying off your mortgages, have somebody else pay that if you want to do that. If you actually own the investments outright and they've had huge gains and everything over the years, you could definitely, they're going to be paid off, first of all. So even if it was worth the same amount that you paid for it, you could have that as a pretty good retirement thing that you would have for yourself that would just basically, if you bought property for 30 years and then you sold one property a year for the next 30 years, if you started selling them off when you were 60 and you finished when you were 90, you could do that, or you could continue to have that rental income coming in. It just comes down to what you're most comfortable with and everything like that. And, I have found that people move to different parts of maybe the state, different parts of the country. And when they do that, they want to sell their rental property where they're at because they like it close to them. And, purchase some other properties. And so I've seen people do that quite a bit and everything too. And when they do that, there are some different tax laws that they take advantage of, which is a 1031 exchange for some people, that basically you don't have to take the gain on the property. It goes into the next property. And so there's all kinds of ways to structure things, but you just really need to look at what you want to do, what kind of plan you want to have in order to invest in property and everything too. And there are some negative things that you want to look at, basically that you want to be prepared for. And first, the initial investment can be higher than what you thought or whatever, or, putting some down. But, if you're investing in other places, it's a good place to look, and it's something that you're in control of. I've had many people tell me that they've invested in the stock market and they really don't have any control if the market goes up or down or whatever. And, with real estate, if they want to sell it, they can. If they want to rent it, they can. Whatever they want to do with it, they have those options to do it. And so they feel like they're much more in control. And there are ongoing costs. Depending on what kind of property you have. If you've got a loan on it, obviously you've got that. There are property taxes. There might be homeowners associations if you've got that kind of thing. And there might be some maintenance things that have to be done. We all know that air conditioners last between 10 and 15 years, so you're going to have to replace that occasionally and those kinds of things. So you have to do that. Finding the right tenant isn't always easy, but in our area, finding the right tenant is not necessarily that hard either. We find that it's pretty easy to find tenants when you price it right and you've got the right property. But basically, when it does come to a tenant, screening them is what I find makes the biggest difference. Excuse me, if you're going to have a good experience or a bad experience. And it just basically goes on past history and everything and looking at it, so when we're screening tenants, we're looking for credit, criminal, and eviction. Have they had any evictions in the past? If they have, then that's kind of a red flag. And so you need to address that appropriately and maybe not even take them because of that. And then you're looking at credit scores, and you're also looking at, if there's different things criminally in their background and that kind of thing, to make sure that, you've got the right person, going into your property, because it's a big asset that you have. And so what we found is that when we do check those things out, like I said, we don't have challenges with it. And basically you do have to be on top of it from the standpoint of actually, making sure that you're collecting the rent on time. And if you don't get the rent on time, then you're giving the proper notices to make sure that it doesn't go on any longer than it has to. But we've been fortunate in the people that we've put in, for people that there are very few, if any. I can't remember any that really we had to evict or anything like that. And so it actually is kind of nice when you're working with great people and you don't have to go through those hoops and that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure that you do that. I did mention that property prices can drop. We talked about that a little bit, that the biggest drop that we had was basically in 2008, 9, and 10, and that kind of thing. Back then we had the market just kind of fell apart. But if you look at it now, the prices are definitely higher than they ever were way before it dropped. So like we said, real estate for the most part is a long-term play, just like your retirement account is. And so you just want to look at it from that angle and all of that kind of stuff. And it's not a liquid asset. I mean, you might be able to borrow against it and all of that kind of stuff. And there might be times where you don't want to sell. I mean, I've been in real estate since 2005. So 19 years, and basically I haven't seen any time where there was nothing selling. There's always something selling. People always have life circumstances that are going on, and people are moving into the area, or their family is expanding or whatever. So basically, we're fortunate in this area that we do have the opportunity to always be finding, that there always is property selling. And there might be a short period of time where things don't move very quickly, but in our experience, they're moving. And even with the interest rates adjusting to more of a normal rate, I mean, they were below normal for so long that people thought that was normal, but they've been below normal for so long that the normalcy of where we're at now in the sixes, seems crazy and seems really high. And the affordability is probably the biggest thing that we run into on that, because some people with it, you can only spend so much money on your housing depending on how much money you're making. And so that's the biggest thing when it comes to that, of what you're looking for and looking at and everything like that. But I had mentioned that I wanted to talk also about the basics of home flipping, because if you're looking to do something quickly, then this might be, more your cup of tea. But I always think that you need to know a lot about the construction and that kind of stuff to do it. Like the people that I know that are successful flippers, they basically know, how much things cost, how much to spend on it, and all of that kind of good stuff. And so what it is a lot of times is it's buying a house that's in disrepair, fixing it up, making it like it's new again, and then selling it and making a profit on it. And so you have to, you can't underestimate the time and money that you're going to have to put into it and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, basically, there are a lot of people that want to flip in Central Florida. And the reason for that is because, the climate's great. And they're like, hey, if I can do it here, I want to. And so that's basically, we do have a lot of competition when it comes to that, but it doesn't mean that you can't do it. There are a lot of people that for cash and not having to show their house, basically will take a discount on it. And that goes back to our cash offer program that we have. And basically, need to know the benefits and the risk. Basically, if you're buying and selling a house that is going to be like one for a first-time buyer, you have to know that FHA has rules that if the property price has gone up more than 20% in less than 6 months, you may not be able to have, it's not about you getting a loan on it, it's about the next buyer getting a loan on it. So there's all those kinds of things that you definitely need to check into and know what it is. Basically, you don't want to over-improve a property either. I mean, I was working with some people and they had over-improved the property, meaning that they had put in stuff that should be in like a $500,000 house in a house that was selling for $200,000, and it was tough getting their money out of it. They eventually did and figured their way around it, but it's not always easy. But in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at Central Florida Real Estate Radio, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Laura Peterson, your host of Central Florida Real Estate Radio. I'm from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and to discuss the sale of your home, you can call or text 407-566-2555. That's 407-566-2555. So basically, I wanted to talk about fixer-uppers. We've been talking about investment properties and that kind of stuff. But as a regular buyer, is a fixer-upper right for you? And, there's a lot of people that I have go into houses that have been flipped or are being flipped or in the process of it. And sometimes the people that are doing the work are excellent, and sometimes they're not quite as excellent. So one thing that I would definitely recommend for any buyer is that you do get a home inspection. And that basically comes down to that you're going to know, what you're dealing with in regards to, all of the basics and all of that kind of thing of the house and anything that's hidden, so that what you're walking into. But what this is asking is a fixer-upper right for you? And it might be a great deal, but they might require a lot of time, patience, and skill. And before making a decision, consider all the factors that go into home renovations. So there is a loan out there, or loans out there, multiple different kinds of loans out there for people that want to buy a fixer-upper property. So there's what they call an FHA 203K, which means that you can actually borrow money over the price of the home to fix it up. Now, the biggest thing about this is that you do have to use a contractor to fix it up. You can't go in there and just slap it all together yourself, for that. So with that 203K, they do have different people that monitor that to make sure that the workmanship and everything was good and was done by licensed people and all of that kind of thing. So that's something that you need to know if you are doing that kind of property. But as an owner, you can get that kind of property, and some of them you can't even move into until after they're completely renovated or remodeled. And some of them you wouldn't want to because they're not livable anyway. But basically, there are opportunities out there for you to purchase a home that does need some work, and you might get a better deal on it. You might have less people going against you on that. And like we talk about in our statistics, you do get a better difference between list to ask ratio on those homes that are under 250 here in the area and that kind of thing, because they do need some work generally. So you want to make sure that you look at your financial situation and budget and make sure that everything works on that. First of all, you want to make sure that your mortgage is going to be able to do it. If you just do a regular FHA loan, for example, when it comes down to it, you're unable to, if some of the things aren't working there, if it's more than cosmetic work, you're not going to be able to get that loan on the property because those things have to be operating. Same with a VA loan. Things have to be operating in the home in order for the veteran to be able to get it. So that's all great things. You want to make sure lifestyle and preference timeline, how much time are you going to have to spend on this particular property, and the tolerance for disruption when somebody doesn't show up or anything like that, and that's where you want to be living and all of that kind of stuff. You want to make sure that you know what your long-term goals are and what the investment potential is. By you buying this fixer-upper, is the value really going to be there when you get done by putting all of this time, energy, headaches into your life for it? So you want to make sure that that's going to happen. Looking at the maintenance of what's going to happen there and evaluating the market is obviously something that you want to look at. And you also want to look at the resale value. And like I had mentioned before, that you definitely want to do a home inspection. You want to consult with professionals to make sure that you've got the right property, and that you're not looking through some rose-colored glasses and thinking that your expectations are way higher than what they should be. And then you want to reflect on your commitment to the project. It can be a year, it could be longer. I know people that buy properties and they go, okay, well, we're just going to work on it one room at a time in regards to making it the way that we want to. And some people come in and they do everything all at once. So sometimes it's dependent on the resources and that kind of thing that you have, and sometimes it's your time. And so you really just have to look at it and think of the whole big picture. And I have some people that say that was a lot of fun and we want to do it again. And then I have other people that said, I don't ever want to do that again. And so it really comes down to your personality and what you're thinking and what you want to do in order to make everything work. So basically, everybody's different, and that's why we sit down with people before we go look at houses, before we sell your house, to really find out what your goals are, what you're trying to accomplish. And what we found is that in doing that we make it a better situation for everybody all around the board and everything. And so we're very excited about doing that, like to do it all the time, and look forward to doing it with any of you that hope to give us a call. So in order to reach us, you just call 407-566-2555. You can text that number as well. Again, that's 407-566-2555. So I've come to the point in the show where we actually go over the property of the week. And this is actually a vacation rental property. It's on the market for $600,000. It's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. It's got a pool and a spa. And it's in a neighborhood that's gated that actually has decent sized lots. So your neighbors are not close to you at all in this property. So it's a great property, for that. You've got plenty of room. Basically, the property is currently rented out quite a bit, and bringing in the neighborhood of, I think it's about 43,000 is what the anticipation is for 2024. 2023 was 42. And it doesn't have a whole lot of weeks that are available. They can transfer over all of the bookings and everything if that's something that you want. If it's something that you don't want, then that's okay as well. You can use it as a regular home. It is in Kissimmee. It's, on right off of Formosa Gardens and 192 in the Formosa Gardens estate area. And that area, like I said, they do have definitely bigger lots. They're kind of odd shapes from the standpoint of they're all different. It's not a lot of cookie cutter in there. So I think that it's a great opportunity if that's something that you're looking for. But our time is up for today, so in order to get in touch with us, you can call or text 407-566-2555. You can find us online at centralfloridarealestateradio.com, and we'll see you next week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye-bye.